All right. We can also analyze graphs by their continuity or discontinuity. Really, we'll start off with the first graph here and look at it. And what you see is if I just were to place a point on the graph and pull that point along, those points, they all exist, very continuous. We'll come back to that. So that's a continuous graph. And what we'll see might be, this one here might be the first one you realize that there's some kind of discontinuity. There's a jump. And in fact, that's what we call it. That area, we call that a jump discontinuity. So we can see if I try and follow along with just one point, I move that point along and I get to this point A and something happens. I got to pick up my pen and move it up here. So it's a jump. It's discontinuous. So it's a jump discontinuity. Very similar, or a little similar here, are these things we call removable discontinuities. All right, which just, and we'll see what happens. You know, put your pen along the graph, and as you follow along, you hit some point. That open dot means that that point does not exist on the graph. It's not in your domain or not in your range. And then after you jump over, but there really wasn't a jump. It was just one small point that wasn't a part of the graph. So we call that a removable discontinuity. And the same thing here. We can go up to that point. Just one small point is not there. But in this case, they've redefined the point elsewhere, but they still call it a removable discontinuity, meaning there's only one point missing. Whereas this one, back to the jump, I see I have to pick up my pen and move it somewhere else. So there's a lot of y values that aren't there. So we've got continuous, removable, and jump. And the other is an infinite discontinuity. And the infinite, what we mean here is it looks like our discontinuous regions are whatever that x value or whatever that y value is and whatever this x value is. Right? But you can see that these graphs go on forever and they'll keep getting closer and closer to the values, but they'll never touch them. Therefore, an infinite discontinuity. Just some definitions there. Thanks.